We are the virtual wholesalers. We have a YouTube channel. At this point, we've been wholesaling since 2006. We went full-time in 2015, and with the intention that we never wanted like a really big office, we wanted to be able to work from anywhere.
Our main goal, we built our business to facilitate. We have a traveling addiction. That's all we really want to do is travel with our kids. So we built our business to serve that purpose and that purpose only. We do not want to be a servant to our business. We want to make sure that it enables us to travel and to live a life on our terms rather than I'm terrible in a corporate setting, I'm not good in an office, so this is what I do. I work for myself. So. All right, so then we just headed on in?
Yeah.
All right, so we kind of gave you a baseline of like what we do and why we do it. Everybody know what wholesaling is? Like anybody new that does not know? All right, so we are here to talk about virtual wholesaling, which is the exact same thing that you already know, except we do it virtually from our cell phone, a laptop, somebody's Wi-Fi, a business's Wi-Fi, wherever we're at, and we do it in another city. So we utilize a bunch of technology. When we first started in 2006, 2007, this wasn't really possible because Google Maps had just started coming out. Like they didn't have, you couldn't go on Street View. Zillow had just started out. There wasn't a ton of tech that could facilitate what we do. But obviously times have changed. We adapted. I mean, when we saw that, that this was going to be a possibility, we actually started virtual wholesaling in Jacksonville. We live here, but we do not get in our cars to go look at houses. We do everything. We try to do everything over the phone.
She was like, what?
We also, we have...
So we build a team, so we're not the ones out there, looking at the houses. Now, sometimes we do sign stuff up and sight unseen. When you get to know the neighborhoods and you get very comfortable with the area, what your buyers are buying, you get the seller to tell you a very detailed description of the property, and you can pretty much gauge what you can pay for it. So sometimes we do that as well. But yeah, I mean, we started essentially virtually wholesaling in our own city, and we thought, wow, we're not even going to the houses. We're sitting, at our desk, like we're at our house, we could go anywhere. So we wanted to look for markets that were less competitive, where our cost to close was just a little less. So we started doing that back in 2015. To date, we virtually wholesaled in 12 other markets. And so we're just going to kind of tell you how we've done that.
Yeah. So the reason we originally started virtual wholesaling, obviously Shannon was telling you that, we also wanted to scale. In Jacksonville, and I think in any city, it's typically like 10% of the total houses are going to fit the wholesale model. So once you max that out, if you're looking to grow your business bigger, you're going to have to figure out some way to get more leads. Our way was originally to go to other cities. That is the original reason that we went. And then when we got to the other cities, we realized like, holy cow, these cities are not being crushed by 200 wholesalers calling the people or
they were untapped. You can tell by sellers' responses, if they have a lot of people calling them or bugging them. So essentially, we realized that some of these cities, they're not like Jacksonville, and we can get the deal easier and cheaper. So that's what we did.
Yep. So that is why we virtually wholesale. If at any point in this, if you guys have any questions like on anything we do, just stop. We'll tell you everything. We're an open book.
So how do we pick the markets? That's a big question.
Yeah. So picking virtual markets, there is no crystal ball. Like at some point, you're just going to have to take the leap and jump. We were looking for markets that Jacksonville, I think, has like 1.4 million. So originally, when we started looking for markets, we would look for markets that were similar to ours. But when we got to those markets, like I said, we realized, oh man, these are oversaturated. You know, people are threatening to kill their moms. You know, we're just like, no, this is terrible. So we've kind of like reined that in, and we go to like smaller markets now where it's not as popular. You know, they're not getting crushed by a ton of people.
But they're growing.
We
They're
always look
growing
for the cities that are growing. Like we're in Chattanooga. It's the fourth largest city in Tennessee, but it's the number one in growth. So yeah, go ahead.
What do you look for to determine what's growing?
So we just look online. I mean, we look like fastest growing
No,
city.
really.
We really just Google it and like fastest growing
People do.
cities. Like
This is one thing we wanted to tell everyone is we think people overcomplicate it in their
Yeah,
own head.
totally.
Virtual wholesaling is just like wholesaling here. There's really nothing different. And what we do suggest is pulling like the 4 top zip codes for that area for cash sales, and then sending like a little test campaign and seeing what kind of results you're getting. And you know, if you're not getting good results, then maybe that's not going to be the best market.
yeah, go ahead.
Can you just break down what wholesaling actually is?
Yes, it is like the buy low, sell low of houses. So we go out, we look for a house that is in disrepair, or there's some type of motivation. Some people are going through a divorce, the house is vacant, it's headed towards foreclosure. So we go out there, we negotiate with the people, say I was negotiating with you, I would negotiate a house, we sign it up for $10,000 with you, and then we have a list of people that are gonna rehab a house, that wanna rehab it or they wanna buy and hold. And we mark it up however much we can. Usually our typical average is $12,000 right now, so we would sell that house to somebody else for $22,000 if we were buying it from you for $10,000. And it's just, we're the middleman. We just get in the middle of the transaction. We get in the middle of the guy with money and the person selling their house, and we facilitate that.
So you don't have to fund the deal.
Yeah, no
the
money out
buyer
of your own
funds it.
pocket.
No money out of your pocket.
You're flipping the contract in essence. So.
And that's why it's such a good entry point for people
Yeah,
to
'cause-
get into real estate, because there's really no money, you know, you
Low
don't have
barrier
that money
of
in your
entry.
pocket. Yeah.
Well,
You do
they
for
can
marketing.
Selling a
You don't need a
contract
license.
versus selling the house.
And you don't
that's
need
where
a
you get into
license.
trouble.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
you definitely have to sell, you can't say I'm selling the house, like you have to be able to sell your rights to the contract. You're selling the actual
So
paper,
Mike,
not
I
the
am
house.
actually a licensed agent here, and all my contracts on the bottom, I have full disclosure, and I'm acting as a principal in the transaction and not as a broker or realtor.
Yeah, if you're, are you guys
Yeah.
realtors?
Yes.
You're gonna definitely have to disclose that you're a realtor, but you're acting as in your own interest in the deal.
As an
You
investor.
have to disclose that. I'm not a realtor, but she is, so we,
And we, in our group, I believe in our Facebook group, it's called the Virtual Wholesalers, we have contracts in there, so anyone can pull our cash contracts out and use them.
yeah, so our pitch too, also our contracts, they're seriously, a 5th grader could read our contract, like it's that simple. We don't overcomplicate it with realtor contracts. I know this is not against realtors, because you guys did not make the contract, but the contract is crazy, like you can't read it, like nobody knows how to read that thing. So ours is like one page, super simple, so.
So a lot of people will use the FAR contract, isn't that what it's called, the all cash?
Yeah.
Okay, a lot of people will use that one, and you know, that's okay too, you know, but just protect yourself as being a realtor.
Yeah, and by disclosing it,
Yeah.
so.
I'll just add, for the FAR bar, I'm not a realtor, but I've noticed specifically with like older buyers, if you present that, they know that contract,
Yes.
and they're much more likely to sign
Yeah,
versus something like that
We
handwritten.
have
There
had
are-
instances where we have used, typically, like, we like our contracts because they protect us and we're used to them, but, you know, if the deal's right, I will use what they're comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
sellers give us pushback on the contract, obviously we'll switch it over, but we typically try and go with the one.
That's just what I've noticed with older people.
Yeah,
They don't like that
totally.
For some reason.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
So back to like how we pick the markets and why we go for smaller markets. What did I say? What did I put on here? Oh, there's a guy, Ken Wade. We're not affiliated with this guy, but it's called Housing Alerts. And if you go on there, he'll tell you, he has some algorithm, some back-end algorithm that'll tell you like the markets that are like prime for flipping, prime for buy and holds, prime for wholesales. So I think it's like $50 a month, and you can get like the whole country and like do your market research. And then also, like Shannon said, when we go into markets, do you guys, if you go on the listsource, I don't know, do you guys all know what listsource is? All right, well there is a way in listsource, we have a video on it, I'll send it, I'll post it so you guys can see it, but you can go in and pull a list of all the cash sales like over the last 6 months per zip code, and you can narrow them down and find like the 4 or 5 top zip codes. we've found that in pretty much any market, there's like an 80-20 rule. Like 80% of all the properties, cash properties that are getting sold are coming from like a small niche of zip code. So you don't have to mail an entire city. You don't have to call an entire city. You should call the zip codes that are like super popular and that you know the cash buyers are buying in.
Especially when you first start and, you know, if you're on a
Limited budget.
budget, you know, that's the smartest thing to do.
Yeah, and it'll also, if you start small like that, you don't blow through your entire budget like buying every single lead in the entire city and throwing it out there, and then you start getting calls like, I've got 80 other people calling me, like you've just wasted all your money on that. So I would definitely suggest starting small when you go into another market and just testing the water and getting your feet wet and then pushing all in once you.
But make sure you're actually sending mail or however you're gonna market, make sure you're marketing to the zip codes where buyers are buying, where the cash sales are happening.
Yeah, so us personally, we do not do direct mail. That is nothing against direct mail, but it is the most, I think, one of the more expensive ways to market. We are currently doing ringless voicemail, we use text, and we also do cold calling, and then a lot of networking and a lot of referrals is how we're doing it now.
What's your website again?
The Virtual Wholesalers, and it's a Facebook group, and we also have a YouTube channel. So we give out a lot of free information through both of those.
When you're going into a market, is your first point of agenda to find the buyers or the
No,
finding the property?
it probably should, we do
It
the
should
cash
be.
sales,
It
but,
should be. We're not
no.
that type of people though. We are just like, throw it, and if it works, awesome, and if not, we chalk it up as a lesson and we try and figure out why it didn't work and we move
Yeah.
on. The
But
thing
we
with-
also, you know, we have Jacksonville up and running and it's been churning for a long time. So our budget's a little, you know, our marketing budget's pretty hefty right now. So, you know, if we want to be a little lazy somewhere, we can be and just deal with it, right? But it's, if you're first starting out, you really want to be a little more buttoned up than that. Like I
But
would.
you need to do
suggest
it
that.
both though, because you can get like analysis
That's
paralysis.
true, too.
So the thing about finding buyers is if you meet buyers and you find out what their buying criteria is, it helps you make an offer on every single property because you know buy and hold guys, they pay a different rate than the guy that's gonna flip it. The guy that's gonna flip it needs it cheaper than the buy and hold guy. So you can offer different amounts of money, and then you should also even have like owner occupants on your list that'll do like sweat equity for the house. They're looking for their personal residence. I don't necessarily love them, but they are on our list. We do recommend talking to buyers and just any buyer. I mean, you can talk to any cash buyer, they're gonna tell you what they want and what they look for. Some of them work off 20,000, some of them work off 30,000 in margin, some of them work off percentages of, you know, what the sales price is. So you just have to talk to somebody and figure out what their buying criteria is. That'll actually help you like direct your marketing, and also, I mean, you don't wanna market to a zip code that nobody's buying in. Like you need to find out where they're buying, and you can use your time. We're big on time, so we use it very wisely, and we go to where like the heavy cash buyers are.
So how to network in a virtual market, it's a lot different because here, you know, you guys get to come in and network with each other and meet each other and build like face-to-face relationships. So the best place that we've actually found is Facebook groups. Reaching out to people in there, talking to them, just trying to build relationships that way.
In any Facebook group and just type in what city you're in the search bar, and there'll be a string of like all the past comments. Somebody has asked what you wanted to ask in that group before. You're never going to be like the original question asker. Like there's literally like 20, 30 posts of the same question over and over in every Facebook group. So we do utilize that a lot. You can build your cash buyer list like that too. Like just go in any Facebook group and
Yeah.
type in
Every
literally
time
cash
somebody
buyers, and it's
asks
But it's
post
so
after post.
surprising the relationships you can actually build with people just by chatting with them through those groups and building credibility, and you know, you build relationships and you can do it virtually.
You do not need boots on the ground, like she said. You can do it without having that. Like we lock things up over the phone, and then there's companies out there. We Go Look is one of them that you can hire. I think they're like $50, and they'll go out and take photos
They're
of the place.
$100.
$100. They'll go out and take photos of it. We utilize a lot of Google Maps, Google Drive to drive the neighborhood. I know those photos are old, but they'll still give you like a idea of what you're looking at. Zillow. I think we use Airbnb, which you can get on there and like look for houses in that area, and you can read people's comments and their descriptions, and they'll tell you like what the neighborhood is like super awesome neighborhood, very touristy, so you get a feel for like what's going on in the area.
Yeah, we did do that with Chattanooga. You can also get a hold of realtors and just,
Yeah.
if anyone will just take 10 minutes to talk to you, you can find out a lot about an area, just talking to a realtor about it.
Yeah, so
Can you do like a mock, like phone call with some, like how would you approach a phone call, like a cold call?
A cold call?
like when we're cold calling,
Yeah.
hey, this is Adam. I know this call's out of the blue. I'm just calling to see, we're buying in the area. My partner and I are looking to buy something in the area. Just wanted to see if you're looking to hear a cash offer or you're interested in selling.
And if they
Just
say no
normal,
right
like
off
we-
the bat?
Say, well, do you have
Yeah,
any
we ask,
land?
do you have anything else that you may be
Mobile
looking to
home?
sell, or
Yeah.
do you
Know
know of
anyone
anybody
else?
looking to sell? Like we don't stop at like the first no. Like we ask, do you have any neighbors? We offer, like sometimes we'll tell people. One of my messages on a ringless voicemail was I wasn't even looking for the person who I was calling. I just said, hey, we're offering $3,000. If you know of anybody in your area that's looking to sell, please connect us and I'll make sure we get you. So it really is just having the conversation, and I think that when you're new, you tend to like overcomplicate it and make it harder than it is, and it's not hard. It's really just talking to somebody.
You also have to understand that there's so many no's, so you can't get discouraged.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
you're not just gonna go in and make a couple phone calls and have good results. You have to have the grit to like tough it out, because it's not as easy as just making 10 phone calls and having someone interested. So if you keep that in mind, there's so many people in this room that are making money wholesaling, so.
How do you
No
divide
doesn't
your
mean no.
collaborative effort?
So what is my role and what is her role?
Yeah.
So I am like a head in the clouds, like read books, follow Gary Vee, follow
you
a bunch of
hippie?
things. Very much so.
I can tell, I feel you.
I'm not. I want to be a rich hippie though. I don't want to be like a stinky hippie. Like I want to like live a good life hippie and travel.
The only reason we don't travel more is because of our kids' school, and we feel it's important for them to be in school. We tried homeschooling for a little while, but so we're trying to find the balance, because we have a really hard time staying still. It bothers us. We
Yeah.
like to be.
Oh my goodness, y'all live
We've
in
thought about hiring. We've actually
We've
thought
thought
about
about
hiring
homeschool.
a private teacher
We've
to
thought
like
about
just
it.
come along with us wherever we go
We
and
want
pay them.
more the
That's it.
aspect of the social. They
Yeah,
love
yeah, it's
school.
more for, like,
They love
social.
school. They love their friends. So that's hard for us on that front.
But we have actually, so back to like virtual wholesaling, we lived in an RV for about a year, traveling the country, and wholesaled from our phone and literally a Wi-Fi. So there's anybody that says you cannot wholesale, you really, that's not true. You can literally do it from anywhere. On your lunch break, you can do it in your car. If you have Wi-Fi in your phone, you can get deals. I promise
Yeah.
you.
So you guys don't work a 9 to 5?
No.
How long has it
But that's just us. Like a lot of people in the business, and some of our very good friends, they
Yeah.
have offices.
Big
They
offices.
have huge, machines
Obi's
running.
one,
Yeah,
G and Dom, like all
Obi,
those
every time I
guys.
see Obi, he's like, that's it. I'm firing everyone. I'm going on the road, So I just think,
I think you have to like really look at
What
what
your
your vision
goals
is
are.
and your goal is,
What
and,
is your
and go from
success?
there. We're never going to be that company because we don't have that structure in our own life. We're on the go too much, so I'll never be able to sit in an office and manage all those people. So we run lean. We utilize a ton of technology to enable us to run lean. And
everything's virtual, so we have an acquisitions manager who is in Israel. He's a partner of ours as
Yeah.
well. We've started partnering with them.
so he works at nighttime. It's nighttime in Israel during our day, and he's over there calling, like sitting up. So
His name's Yoav Lavi, very good friend of ours and partner now. We brought him on as a partner, so we're not going into Israel as wholesaling in Israel. We're teaching people in Israel how to virtually wholesale here, because there's such a huge market for it.
Why is that such a popular option, Israel?
money, a lot of money.
The real estate's very different there, and it's very expensive.
And they,
So a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
people
they-
they're investing over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I have
see.
some
I see.
guys from Israel who buy it from me also.
So,
what else?
so he's doing everything virtually from Israel, and then we do have an acquisitions manager in Jacksonville, and he's the one going on most of the appointments. And then we have 2 cold callers in the Philippines, and then we have a VA in the Philippines. And
How
so
did
that's
you-
our team.
How did you connect with your partner in Israel?
He was a buyer of mine here in Jacksonville.
And then he saw what we were making on the
On the
deals and
high.
he's like, I'm gonna start wholesaling now, because he did a lot more work on his end to like rehab the house.
Do you use any other exit strategies aside from wholesaling?
We do,
Not typically, no. I mean,
yeah.
Yoav does some, like where he'll buy the property, fix it up, and then he'll sell it. And we're 50-50 on that as well. And he's doing that with Israeli buyers. Some of them want more hands-on, and others will just, buy and fix up themselves.
I think we're in 12 other markets.
Not currently, we've been
We have.
in other
have.
markets, yeah,
So
so,
y'all keep moving.
totally,
We
so
do.
we watch the bottom line, like we watch how much it costs us to get a deal in a market, and if it starts climbing, then we know like, oh man, the market's getting saturated. And in wholesaling, you don't have to be in one city, like you can go to another city that is easier, so there's no reason to be in a super competitive market. Like you can if you want, if that's your style, but we like it easy, and so we just look for when we switch markets and pay attention to it.
Jacksonville's the only market that will never leave, no matter how competitive it gets. We've just been here, it's our baby. We have the connections, and we've worked a really long time on building those, so it's our city,
Yeah, so also back to like selling deals in other markets, it's super easy to do that too. I think people overcomplicate that as well. You can post them in any Facebook group, online. You can buy, there's realtor lists that you can buy, and you can send your deals out to all the realtors in the area. I also learned a tip from G and Dom. They'll get a deal under contract, look it up in Zillow, and then they'll call the realtors that have sold the houses around that area, and they'll literally pick up the phone and cold call them like, hey, I have an off-market property in that area. Are you looking to buy it? Or do you have somebody looking for it? So that's another way.
Thank you.